In the beginning there was Jack, and Jack had a groove. And after a while, a deep sleep fell upon him, and he was looking for a new groove. He began looking for a new nation, and it had to be a soulful nation. And he found it, and it was Soulful House Nation. And he saw a building. It was a tall building. It had 10 stories. And he entered the building and got on the elevator and pushed the 10th floor, but it stopped on the 8th floor. And that's where he found his new groove. And he began to jack and jack and jack and jack. And he knew that this was it. It was Soulful House Nation on the 8th floor. Get ready, get ready, get ready.
Get ready. Ladies and gentlemen, I am DJ Dan Soul House Station. I'm coming to you live from the 8th floor. Woo! Great one today. Well, first, I just want to say for those of you who didn't catch it, go back and check last week's interview with Marcus Garrett. A lot of people showed up. As you know, we're on multiple platforms. Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, Twitter, Twitch, the website. And last week we had close to 2,500 live views. So, hey, thanks for those who came out and watched it. As usual, we're going to play the hottest song according to Track Source. This is like number 1 for 4 weeks in a row. This is very unusual, so it's a very strong song, and you can see what people are talking about. Then we're going to talk about a little bit of stuff that was coming up and what happened. Then we're going to play a classic, and then we're going to bring on our special guest, Mr. Kevin O. So, Chuck, could you just play a little snippet? Want to give Chuck Roberts of In the Beginning, Jack Had a Groove, and all that. Well, give him a big round of applause just for thanks for putting that drop together for me, for the show. Also, Ariel Shante and King P. Finesse for doing the theme song. So, Chuck, why don't you play a little snippet of the number 1 song according to Track Source in the Soulful House category. It's Angels that cracked at that remix, Morgan, and it's the House Gospel Choir. So,
angels watching over me,
watching over me. I had a dream that you were here. When I woke up, you were gone. I tried to trace the memory of your face before it fades into the dawn. When I'm feeling heavy, even though it's hard, I pray the Lord my soul to keep with angels standing guard. I got my
angels watching over me.
Over me. They never tell you what you need to know. We're just out here on our own. Yeah. And every time you send me signs to let me know I'll never be alone. When I'm celebrating, it's you I'm thinking of. turn out good surrounded by your love.
We're gonna fade it out
When
because
I'm
favorite
feeling
is nasty, Lord have it.
even though it's
About
hard.
5 years from now, I'm gonna get a notice from Facebook saying, "Hey, wait a minute, somebody's claimed your," I don't know. You know how Facebook works. Hey, before we get started, let's give a few shout outs to the people who are on the line here. Oh, wow. Look at that. I got to tell you what's exciting about this is we're getting more and more of a flow, and more people are checking us. Hey, Shalene, sunny Florida, what's up? Bernard, what's up? Linda, how you doing? I had a chance to meet Linda. She's been following us on Soulful House Nation and the different things we've been doing. But I got to tell you, I met her. You could feel her spirit. She's the nicest person. She's unbelievably a nice person. You can feel it from her. Anyway, so thanks for joining in. Pittsburgh in the house. All right. Hey, listen. This weekend, great weekend. I was working several days, but I had a chance to catch near the end of the SMB Scorpios Unleashed and Go Black. Great event. I came in when Mark Francis went on. Forget about it. I'm telling you. I mean, he's a beast plus. He's a beast plus. I mean, and then too, one of the things that Mark first of all produces a lot of music, but then he did this mix that drove everybody in the room crazy. A Lady in My Life by Michael Jackson. Forget about it. Okay. Great weekend there. Now, a couple things coming up. November 22nd, Louis V is going to do a flashback thing. It's going to be in BK, 260 Messerol. Then you have the DJ Boot Camp. That thing is starting to come up now. So, hey, check for that. That's Black Friday, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Wooloo Lounge has got to be on your hit list. And they're doing stuff on the 25th and the 26th. And then, of course, December 1st, you've got already sold out. Jihad Muhammad, Beloved, Mark Francis, Naeem, and Omar Abdallah on the same ticket. And that's going to be December 1st at the Robert Treat Hotel. If you don't have a ticket, forget about it. There's always next year. Hey, and then, of course, on the Deep House Magazine, Making Waves, I tell you what's exciting about that. This is the first magazine that really has spoke directly to our audience. What I mean by that, I mean, number one, the interviews are with people that we know and are come in contact with, but also to people who we know of, but just have not made a connection with, maybe have not been able to physically connect. So, I mean, really, I'm asking everybody to support it. Okay, listen to this. If you knew the work that went into it, the love and the care, right there, you'd be sold. But on top of that, the issues, it's only $30 a year. So 2 things I want to do. Number one, I want everybody to purchase a subscription, an annual subscription. How about that? Anyway, well, maybe I need a prescription. Who knows? Anyway, the annual subscription, but also, too, if you are an administrator of a group, or if you have a group, hit me up. We got something special going for you that we want to share. But I got to tell you, you need to jump on it. We had some birthdays this week that I caught here. Paula Brion, to celebrate. She is doing her thing. She did some gospel house stuff. Birthday this week. Dalton Price. Dalton Price is a buddy of mine, a retired police officer, and I bring him up because he likes house music, but also, too, he's an all-around good guy, and he's very community-oriented. DJ Scoop just had a birthday, and congratulations, he had a super successful cruise. Wayne Ellison had a birthday. Tat Dixon, birthday. And Herman Burrell, one of my friends since I was a kid, which, as you know, it was not too long ago. It's his birthday, actually today. And my oldest goddaughter, my first godchild, is his daughter. So anyway, hey, I got some upcoming shows coming that I don't even want to tell you, but I will tell you one thing. I will tell you is I have Roland Clark coming up. Many of you know from When Can Our Love Begin, Tomorrow Lovelace, but he's done a lot of other stuff that you'll know and sweat to. I got the interview coming with that. Now, what you should know about that is he was on the bill when Black Coffee was in Madison Square Garden and sold that out. I got him on the way to the rehearsal. So that's here. So that's a lot of stuff that's going on here in the community here. If you have anything that you want to share, let us know. In the meantime, I'm going to ask you to share. Hey, Mel Cherry, what's up? Premier Sound Man. Tony Gray, what's up? I saw your set on the cruise there. Tony Gray is House Therapy. Him and his wife, Tawana, they're doing their thing out there. So, hey, listen, thanks for joining us. Hey, let's do this. Let's play a classic, and then we're going to come back and hear the hot part of the day is we're going to have our special interview with Mr. Kevin O, DJ, producer, promoter, remixer, engineer. And I'm not sure if he's a notary public or not, but I'm going to, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so he does a lot of stuff in the community. And you know what's exciting about it is that you've been sweating to his music for a long time, and his some of the people that he's done stuff with, and we're going to talk about that and a lot of things. And he's a very, very prolific. Well, you'll see. All right. So listen, Sultan, what's up? All right. Okay, so listen, let's play this this track here. This is our classic, and as usual, we're going to play a little bit of snippet of it because, you know, Faithless is a nasty, nasty little habit of shutting us down and muting us out. And then we're going to come in with our conversation with Kevin O. Cha? Okay, so listen, we've got Kevin O up. Kevin, how you doing, sir?
I'm all right, man. What's up? What's up?
Hey, listen, you know, first of all, I just want to say thanks for coming on the show. I guess we started a conversation about 6-8 months ago or something like that. I think we officially met at the conference that Dawood did. I think that's when we officially met. And here we are just a few months later, but I'm super happy to have you on the show. And what I want to do, as usual, just for the people who just are not familiar with you, just tell us a little bit about you so we can get to meet you a little bit here.
Well, Kevin Oliphant is my full name. DJ, producer, partner at New Generation Record label group. Reason I say group because we have other imprints. And father, husband, somewhat of an entrepreneur, owner of an audiovisual company, and try to be a good guy, all-around good guy.
Okay. All right. Now, what town are you from originally?
I'm originally from East Orange.
Oh, EO. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Fantastic. Now, how did you get started with music? We're going to get the easy stuff out of the way. Then we'll go deeper.
Growing up around it, some people know, a lot of people don't. My father was a professional musician, jazz musician, and my mom was just a lover of all types of music, mainly R&B. And, you know, we didn't have alarms in the morning. My mom would literally wake my sister and I up with albums playing throughout the house. And
Mm.
once we heard the music, we knew to get ready for school. So we heard the music, got in the shower, and smelled breakfast.
Okay.
So I grew up around the jazz, the musicians. I would come home literally from school, and Quincy Jones would be at the house, Ray Charles.
Mm.
They would be in the dining room. Stanley Turntine, great Hall of Fame saxophone player. They would be in the dining room, smoke-filled room, drinking scotch, sheet music, and Fender Rhodes guitar, piano.
Mm.
And I just, like I said, I grew up around it, and it was normal. We would have neighbors coming over, like, "Is that who I think it is?" And I would just think, "Yeah," and get on my bike and ride away.
Yeah, I guess, you have that background, which, is a real plus. Now, how about, well, listen, you had some major people over at the house, but now who were some of your earlier influences? Some of the people you were saying, okay.
Oh man, my main influence.
Mm-hmm.
So I had known Quincy Jones, or met him when I was 6 or 7, but I didn't realize who he was until The Wiz came on TV. Because, like I said, he was at the house all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I'm sitting on the floor, the floor model TV, and I'm sitting Indian style in the scene where he's playing, in the plaza of the World Trade Center, and he turns around, looks in the camera. I turn around and look at my parents and say, "That's Uncle Q." When you're around adults for a certain amount of time, they become your uncles. That's how, it wasn't the Mr. and Mrs.
Right.
And that's how we were taught to address him, Ray Charles, everyone, And that's when I realized or started researching, and which a lot of guys don't have the pleasure of doing now, reading credits. This guy did.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was my main influence,
Mm-hmm.
And then with the house music,
Mm-hmm.
I was DJing before it was the thing. When my parents entertained, like I said, there were speakers throughout the house, and the whole system though was controlled in the den. So which was upstairs. So I had the privilege of playing all the records for my parents' company. So they would say jazz. I knew what jazz records, Herbie Hancock, Stanley Turntine, Hugh Lawson, all my father's guys, Sarah Vaughan, who my dad played for, managed, and was her musical director for one point. I knew to play all that. And then my mom would yell up the steps and play my music. So now I'm going to the Commodores, the Brothers Johnson, Patty Austin, Johnny Guitar Watson. So I was DJing before it was quote unquote the thing DJs have always been around since the radio, but you know what I mean? Before it was the thing to do, the 2 turntables and mixer.
Right.
I had an 8-track, a cassette, and 2 turntables. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And my dad and mom just said, "Keep the music going."
Yeah, it's 2 things I just want to make a note of that you said. Number one, you mentioned credits, because now that you said that, you bring it to my attention. When you get the digital stuff, you don't see the credits anymore. You don't really see the album covers and things of that nature, because that at one point was a thing in and of itself, just the album cover. And that was a big sales point many times, because people wanted that album cover. And then the credits, so again, so that's something
if I can interject.
Yeah, absolutely.
You do have some people that collect comic books,
Okay.
And so I collected records, but the fun part about it, and this is how I learned about the industry, you had the pleasure of reading the credits. What's a remixer? What do you mean it's mixed and mastered? Or edits, or the difference between writing a song and then arranging a song. These are the things that go into a project, and we had privy of learning this because of the credits. Now, because everything's a thumbnail, you're unless you do a bio, you really don't have the space to enter that information for your distributors, because there's thousands of records that come out every Tuesday, and the space is limited. So you don't know all that it entails for a full project.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, like I said, that never occurred to me till you said that just now, and you're right, you don't. You might see the name of the artist, sometimes the name of the company. I think maybe Track Source might be, and maybe Beatport might be a little bit more descriptive, but you
Mhm.
don't see the 27 people in the studio that were
Exactly.
behind that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
interesting.
And we've lost that with all the shortcuts, you know. And I don't want to take the interview from you, but it's just like when guys are selling or selling other people's material, the artists and the labels aren't getting paid. So the budgets for the photographer isn't there. Or, you know, you used to have a writer write up your bio for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, Chris Flowers still does a lot of write-ups for us. So we would give him the artist, the track, say, listen to it, here's the background. But these budgets aren't there anymore because of, you know, the simplicity of putting out records now.
Right. Hey, Morris, what's up? Thanks for stopping by. Okay. So now let's talk about some of your favorite tracks, some of the stuff from back in the day, and I'll tell you stuff, whatever. What was some of the stuff that you listened to? Yeah.
Oh man, coming up,
Yeah.
it was almost everything until the genre started splintering.
Okay.
You know, in the early '80s, if it was house, it was in that particular record store, whatever, you bought it. You know what I mean? So I mean, I liked everything that was coming out. You know, back in the day, you might have to buy an import for just one record or one track
Yeah.
that was on it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But you had to spend that $12 to get that one record. You know, and that's when the money was in the business.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, man, I really can't pinhole uh, a particular person. I will say, musically, I would say one of the top guys I listened to at a young age was Larry Heard, Mr. Fingers.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Larry Heard,
Okay.
Little Lewis's first albums. That I started getting seasoning when Little Lewis came out, but Larry Heard, you know,
Back to Chicago.
can you feel it?
Uh-huh.
And even prior to that, the albums I got, the whole group, I forget the name of the whole group, but it was Mr. Fingers Incorporated. But those first albums with him, Robert Owens, you know,
Right.
house albums,
Yep.
those you could just play them, let it run to the end, pick it up, turn it over, and then just repeat. You know, so yeah, definitely Larry Heard, man. He, you know, and then when I met him, it was like, dang, this guy is just okay. Yeah, he's that guy.
Yeah. Wow. Now, how did you get into house music? I guess it was, I don't know, a natural flow for you, or how did that happen?
Well, here's the funny thing. Like everyone, I started on hip hop, and believe it or not, I still listen to it religiously.
Okay.
I can still cut and scratch. I play around. You know, if my nephews or somebody's playing with equipment, or you know, some younger guy, and they have hip hop on, I'll just mess around. But like everyone, you started playing hip hop. So in 7th grade, my sister's in college, or sorry, she was getting ready to go to college, but she was really heavy in the club scene. And she would come home from different clubs, Cheetah, Zans, 54, The Building, Nels, and she would hum all these records. And she would say, oh, you can do all that, but you're not going to get any parties.
Okay.
You know, you're not, the hip hop parties were taken over by the radio stations and established guys. I'm 13 years old. She's like, you got to start playing this. And she's humming these records. And on my 12th birthday, my 12th birthday, she talked my mom into taking her to Moving Records.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You're hitting nerves now.
Yeah, so they bought me a stack, and it was everything she hummed. So in theory, I knew the records. And listening to Tony, listening to Timmy, Naeem was on the radio at that time, Merlin Bob, listening to these guys. I'm like, okay, I know the classics, and I owned them because of my mom's collection. And I just started mixing the classics with the new stuff. And then my sister met a DJ, and she was a freshman in high school, but in college, still couldn't have guys in the house.
Gotcha.
So they're on the porch, and he hears my music, and, from the second floor, and they call me downstairs, and he loans me 2 crates of records.
Okay.
And I took the first 6 hours of the day just recording them so I could have them and reference them. So when he took the crate back, but before he took them, I made some cassettes. Right. So when he came back and got his crates, I also gave him a cassette, and it was pretty good for a 13-year-old guy. And I started making cassettes, A couple people were coming home from colleges and buying them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first teen night ever at Club 88, I'm in line, but my DJ friend was inside Club 88 talking to DJ Burt.
Mm-hmm.
And, I pay to get in and I make my way. And the guy by the name is DJ Fuquan Daniels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So he met me when I was like 13, 14. And now I'm a freshman in high school. I get in the first teen night and he introduces me to Burt.
Mm-hmm.
And then says, hey, this is the guy I gave you the tape, for.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, it blew me out the water. It's the first time I see turntables bouncing.
Uh-huh.
As a kid, you think every speaker has to be big. 88 has these 16 802s, and
Okay.
so my head is just in the air like, wow, where is all this coming from? Not knowing about tweeter arrays and subs under the stage and under the booth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm seeing the turntables bounce, and then I'm looking for a mixer because I've never seen a Yuri mixer.
Oh, okay.
Then I'm looking for his headset, but he has a stick phone. I'm like, what is that? So at the time, you could smoke in clubs still, wasn't against
Right.
the law, but because it was teen night, Burt wanted to go outside.
Mm-hmm.
He handed me the stick because he had heard my tape,
Mm-hmm.
but I was still playing on D1s, not 12,
Oh.
right?
Uh-oh.
And not on suspension, and
Uh-huh.
darn sure, I don't know if I can curse, but darn sure not knobs. I'm looking for
Right.
faders.
Gotcha.
So he goes, turntable 1, turntable 2, here's the stick, here's your headphone cue, and then he puts his hands on each section of the record bends. So he's like, classics, promos, which I kind of knew, white labels. I never heard that term,
Mm-hmm.
meaning unreleased material,
Mm-hmm.
imports. He might have had 1,000 records there. I might have known 250 of them.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So the guy goes out to smoke a cigarette,
Mm-hmm.
and I play the first record, and I'm looking around. He's not up there. I played the next record. Now, mind you, it took me, thank God the first record was 8 minutes because it took me 7 minutes to cue the next record.
Okay.
So I don't even know if I faded it, mixed it. I think the record faded out and the other one came in because I had never done knobs before.
Right.
So after the second one, it was like, okay. And now people were looking at me and I'm like, okay, I like this.
Mm-hmm.
And Burt never came back. He came up one time and that was it. He said, hey, the next teen night, if it starts at 8, be here at 7.
Okay.
And I showed up with like 9 crates of records. It
Back
was
in the day.
crazy. And I almost had to pay to get in.
Wow.
And it just, I just caught the bug and
Wow.
said, I want to do this.
Wow. Well, listen, you said some things again that I go back to. I could tell you almost to a DJ person, I've found that all the house DJs, I can't even think of one, there's maybe one, but I can't think of one that did not come out of the hip hop and or jazz background. And of course, I mentioned soul. They're like, soul came in there too. So now you mentioned about singing and stuff like that. I think humming is a good thing, especially when your voice is like mine. That's you. That's gonna help you. Hey, let me give you a few shout outs. Monique, what's up? Diane, what's up? Joy, how you doing? All right, folks, thanks for joining us. Okay, so where you really have been in from the door, and prior to producing, you were DJing. So
Yes.
where is house music going from your standpoint? You were in it when they were probably calling it club versus house music and et cetera, the name, the evolution. So where do you see it? What's your point of view?
I'm on both sides of the fence.
Okay.
I see the potential because so many people are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, the backside or the downside of it is the piracy. So the potential is there, but it's almost like the saying 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
You have people that complain, for instance, how you're getting cut off on playing stuff on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people think that they have the right because they purchased it, but it goes beyond just purchasing material. Artists get paid for performance, and Facebook's not a radio station. And so, the ease of getting in the business is somewhat of a hamper because it's now diluted. But I keep positive, one, because I love it, but I keep positive because the production is getting better by a lot of guys and girls. You know what I mean? So if we can get the business side of it, a little tighter, I see it endless. And case in point, that, like you mentioned, Black Coffee at Madison Square Garden. Whether you were involved in it or not, it's a plus for anyone doing house music. It's a way to get the genre accepted over many platforms, not just the dance floor. In movies, I have some stuff in movies. Commercials, even political spots. I mean, that it's endless, but we have to get the business tighter. So I feel good because of the producers that are in the business that are real. There's some really good people out here, man. I mean, I put a post out the other day, a guy that works with us, Rob Rhythm. This guy called me 4 years before COVID, or I'm sorry, a year before COVID. He's been with the camp almost 4 years. And he asked me if he could send me, a demo. I'm like, heck yeah, with excitement. And he said to me after the fact, he said, I didn't think you would receive me like that because I don't have a name. I'm not concerned with that. The talent is what you're concerned with. So my point is, there's so many dope producers out there. It keeps me positive. But at the same token, we have to figure out a way to, stop the piracy, get an understanding of the difference between, your mechanical royalties, which is your sale of the said item, versus getting paid off your publishing, and getting your writer's credits and your splits. Once the business meets the technology, I don't see it, ever stopping. We'll get there one day with the birth of house music, how you have hip hop 50 years. I don't know when we'll get it to quote unquote date, but we'll get to that point. But we just have to tighten the business up.
You mentioned a lot of things in their conversation that most people and know nothing about it. Nothing about when you mentioned that, hey, wait a minute, I bought the song, why can't I play it? Hey, why doesn't Facebook say, hey, listen, you guys want to play, maybe we charge a fee, a small fee, or maybe they make deals with record companies, or what? I mean, why do, you can play many house music tracks because, for example, on Facebook, it doesn't recognize the algorithm. So if you play like a major, like for example, if you play something from Louis Vega, it's probably gonna check you. Something from.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
He's registering his music.
Okay.
So I'll give you a prime example.
Okay.
I go live a lot in my studio, and we're making original music. I can play that all day. It's not registered. It won't fall in an algorithm unless I use a sample that has been registered.
Got you.
So you can do that. But once it gets registered, I can't even play my own song on Facebook.
Right.
They don't know that that's Sound on House BMI or that I own it. If it's registered, then it's a published piece. You can't play the published music.
Now, help us understand, too, because you see a lot of people post when they're playing, I don't own the rights to the music. And does that make any difference?
None whatsoever.
Okay.
They don't know Kevin O. They don't know Dan Shivers.
Close. Shiver. But close.
Shiver. I'm sorry. Shiver. My apologies.
We're good. But
so the point is, once you register it, they're protecting your publishing.
Got you.
You know what I mean? They don't know who it's attached to. It's just when you register a song saying, hey, if you use this on a platform, if you put this in a movie, if you put this here, I want to get paid for it.
Okay.
So, now it's registered. You just can't arbitrarily play it and not get cut.
Now, one other part to that question is that some people put up this thing, and the reason I'm having this conversation with you is because you're on the inside and and a lot of people don't know. Now, sometimes they'll put up there that it's based on something educational or other some kind of other hocus pocus. Well, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that makes no difference either. Is that correct? Or is that
I
doesn't make it
haven't
correct?
seen that statement, but I don't see how it would.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so if you see, for instance, and guys should look into this. If you want to sample something and you can't find that artist's publishing,
Mm-hmm.
right? You put all rights reserved on the record. If someone from the radio then wants to play it and you give that person that sample credit,
Mm-hmm.
they can then look it up and get the publishing. Now they can play it on the radio. But
Mm-hmm.
by you putting all rights reserved, you're saying, hey, whenever this record gets played on the radio and it generates 5 cents, it goes to that artist that owns that publishing.
Mm-hmm.
Now you'll get paid for your sale, but the artist will get the publishing and the writer's credit. And that's the reason you register your songs.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just arbitrarily playing it on a platform with no, and you're not paying into, SoundScan or BMI ASCAP, who gets paid?
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think this is important to know too because I see so many. Before we move on, I want to give some other things, but just so we know that so many cuts are played. I don't know. I hear some noise in here.
It's not me.
Yeah, I think it's on my end. Jack? Yeah. Yeah, we're hearing noise. Yeah. Yeah, it's because, yeah, a second. Yeah. Okay, so can you hear me?
Yep, I got
Okay,
you.
yeah. So like, so many times I hear songs that are killing it. They're still killing it. Like some of the hottest songs this summer, just a couple. And then there's others, but just two that come to my head. Changes and Rearranges by Mark Lewis, which was a really big hit this summer. I mean, in fact, you can still play it now, and it still packs the dance floor. The Akon.
Yeah, Mark's on fire.
Huh? Yeah,
Mark-
yeah. The Akon.
on
You
fire.
still play that, and it's still on fire. But now, in my mind, they're not really getting paid on that like they should. Now, I might be wrong about that, but I don't know anybody who's ever written a check to them for that song. I mean, again, you're behind the scenes. What's your take on that, or what's your
Well, I don't know if he registered the song. I don't know if all the parts he owns. So I mean, the money now is getting a record place, meaning TV show, commercial, movie. We're a niche market, so we don't get mainstream radio play. That's the reason the house stuff, in the Northeast in Jersey, is later at night. Because the commercials are cheaper. You know what I mean? So I don't know if if he published the record, if he's getting any airtime that way. But if it's just sales, that's just what it is. And I wouldn't sit here, how your parents used to say, don't count another guy's money.
right?
So,
Exactly.
listen, I tell people I work with, we're not going to count the money we make off of one record. We're going to make a lot of records. Hence, we're dropping 2-3 records a month.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, that record is straight fire. And again, I don't know. Again, so you're educating me. I don't know how that works, but forget about it. You could still play that. So, matter of fact, Mark played it Saturday night, and the floor went crazy. So, anyway, now let's talk about producing.
Okay.
How did you get started producing, and who are some of your producer influences? Some of the tracks you've done and artists you've worked with. So let's have that conversation first.
So I got into the production aspect. When I started at Club 88, I was only doing the teen nights, but I was privy to be there at the college nights before I took over, and Friday and Saturday. And Bert would have these producers come up with stuff right out of the studio on reel to reel. Or you would hear someone on the radio and then go to this record store and hum it to the counter person, and they're like, "That's not out yet," or "That's never coming out. It's exclusive to that person." So there's the light bulb. I want to have some stuff on reel. I initially just wanted to be able to use the reel to reel, Once Bert taught me how to lace it, pitch control, the input, outputs, and things of that nature, I said, well, I got to make something to put it on a tape. So I was raised in private schools, and I say that to say I never lived within walking distance of any school I went to. So I learned the bus system in northern New Jersey, Essex County, really quick since second grade. And my freshman year, I just opened up a phone book, looked under R, and I called every recording studio that was in the yellow pages and asked if I could come take out the garbage or sweep up. And, the first guy, Gary Randolph, love him like a brother. It was 4 Bits Recording Studio. Mikael, Cool and the Gang guys, they had 4 Bits when Motor Vehicles was where Walgreens is on Main Street in East Orange. And I just buzzed in, he let me up, and I sat in the corner and watched. Then I started going to him every day after football practice or after school. And he and 2 other guys put a home recording studio together. And we went there one day after school, and I made a record that still sells to this day. I just hummed him like 4 different things, and we put it to tape. I let Bert hear it, and he's like, whoa. I let Tony hear it, trying to see if he could give me a deal or suggest what labels to go to. But it was just a track, just 3 sounds, but it was driving, almost like Adonis on the way back. Boom, 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 boom. So this was just a rhythm track, and people went nuts over it. And I only had the 1 copy. So wherever I went, it went, and that was the bug for the production aspect, and as far as production influences, like I said, Larry Heard, watching Gary Randolph work, he wasn't into the house, but Gary Randolph and Benny, I can't think of his last name. Benny's from East Orange. He was background for Whitney up until her unfortunate demise. And now he's like second lead on Earth, Wind, and Fire, right out of East Orange. So if you ever go to Earth, Wind, and Fire concert, what is it? Philip Michael Bailey. He's the lead guy. If he's doing other obligations, the new lead is Benny. And right out of East Orange, the light-skinned guy. I'll send you a picture.
Okay.
They'll be in AC, I think December 9th through the 11th. So I'm working around these established guys. Like, they're touring for a living. George Mick was the sound guy. Gary Randolph was a music instructor and a studio engineer. So I'm just learning from these guys, and they started letting me touch buttons, and I learned my way around the room. I learned, that's not for me. That's why he's the engineer. That's not for me. That's why he's the keyboard player, So I just learned my way around the rooms, and I've always been a knob and button guy. I like to take stuff apart, even to this day at 51 years old. So it was in my blood. And then as a kid, I've taken drums. Like I would ride to the studios with my dad and set up the drums, and they would put me on a throne while they're in another room smoking cigarettes, and the engineer would mic the stuff, not knowing these mics now like $3,500, Wow. And these guys, and 8 of them around my dad's drum set, but he's with the other musicians. I'm in the studio running off rudiments while they're doing the sound checks. So I got the bug really early. My only regret is I've been in studios with my dad. I've never recorded my dad before he passed. So
just real quick on that. Well, that's not an impossible thing anymore as long as there's any recordings, because remember, Natalie Cole did with her dad, and that was a tremendous success. That's just one example. So don't.
But I mean, physically,
I know what you mean.
But physically in the room, when I lost my dad, I wasn't emotional. He died at 88, doing what he loved, and he had a good life. But occasionally, not to be corny or personal, I'll be in my studio and just like, wow, I wish Dad was here.
Got you. Hey, now how about people that you work with, and is there anybody on your bucket list that you'd like to work with in terms of artists?
Bucket list?
Or people you've worked with already?
You know, I wouldn't really say a bucket list because I like, listen, if you're doing house music, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say every record's a good record, but I, I'm not the guy if you say, hey, Kev, let's work on something and I dismiss you. You know, the only thing I won't do, and I explain this to people, Dan, if I start a project with you and I don't care, you know, the next person comes, I'm not going to start with them till I'm finished with you, you know. So as far as bucket list, I'll work with anyone, you know. So I don't, oh, I got to do something with him. I love to work with, um, man, who's, there's so many. I love Cherie Hick's voice.
Oh yeah.
I've worked with, oh my goodness, what's one? She's down in Atlanta now. She hasn't done anything in a minute. Oh gosh, I see her face, but I'll stop. What's Kenny's ex-wife?
Oh,
Not Susu. Goodness, it'll come to me.
okay.
I'll stop thinking of it. And
Now,
I should have said
now I
I'm
feel
putting
normal.
stuff out there. Um, but right now I'm working with a young lady by the name of Marlo Cozart.
Okay.
She's out. We have 3 releases out with her. Well, let me say this then. The reason I don't have a bucket list, the past 4 or 5 years, I've been looking for people who don't do house music for the simple reason. Their house music to me is just up tempo R&B or gospel.
Okay.
So if you're a bad jazz musician or a bad R&B musician, look, we'll just up the tempo. We're doing house music, you know.
Okay.
But the reason I like now to try to work with people who haven't done house music is because then they don't come in trying to sound that like someone that's established.
Interesting.
You know, I don't want to scream and diva because this one is hot at that. You know, I don't want, you know, a guy who wants to do, you know, a whole bunch of organ strikes. You know, we've got guys for that. I want music, and let's just elevate that. You know what I mean? So as far as a bucket list, I really don't have one. I would love to work with it's just too many to name. But the keyboard players, like I love guys that are coming from jazz bands or even cover bands, because that means they can play a lot of stuff. You know, I have a guy, John Hickey, and I'm gonna just say he's a white dude, but this brother has toured with Bootsy and George Clinton. Like they've gotten problems because both of them won them.
Okay.
So one night he calls me up. I just came off of a sound gig, and you know, out the shower, glass of wine, feet up. He's like, "Hey Kev, you want to work on those tracks you sent me?" I'm like, "Sure." When? What about tomorrow?
Okay.
Bro, I immediately popped up, came down to the studio, staged him. He came down here. He's never done house music, and when that stuff drops, you're gonna be floored.
Wow.
Like, I literally want to put on the record. This guy's never done house music. I just brought up the drums, the percussions, and he just played keys, and I mean, he played a MIDI moog, bass guitar, electric guitar, and keys. And all I did was drums and percussions. I said, "Go away, and when you come back, we will have a finished album or mini EP." You know, so that's really been my direction. So bucket list, I'll work with anyone if they want to work. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, you know, like I tell you how my mind thinks. Something always pops into my head. You mentioned that this is a white guy that played with Bootsy and George Clinton, and you know, the song "Play That Funky Music, White Boy" just popped into my head. Anyway.
Yeah, and you know, it's so funny. When I'm watching them, sometimes that's just going through my head. You know. But he's the guy, soup to nuts, man. He's soup to nuts.
Yeah. Hey, C Justice, what's up? Shonda T, CJ, Joy, what's up? Sean Davis, how you doing? John Lyons is in the house. Isabel, how you doing? DJ Bilal is joining us. I'm telling you, bringing out all these people here. My goodness. All right, we should have done this a long time ago. Anyway. Now, what about this? So you had a lot of success with this. Is there a formula, so to speak, And when you make a track, do you know this is this is a hit, or is it a situation by? Uh oh, uh oh, uh oh.
Well, I'm laughing because you think everything has the potential,
Got you.
and we've done some really good records.
Mm-hmm.
And my partner will call me, Larry LeBert,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll call me up. He say, "Hey, you check the charts," and
Yeah.
I'm thinking, it's up here, and I'm like, "Whoa, did this thing go double lead?" You know, but and then and another reason I'm laughing because yeah, you're always like, oh, just like a boxer, everybody got a plan so they get popped, right?
Yeah.
So, but the ironic thing is, Dan,
Mm-hmm.
you can later put that same record on an EP.
Yeah.
People are chomping on it like a steak in a piranha tank. Like, yo, we just picked up such and such. I'm like, dude, we put that out 2 years ago as a single. It went cardboard, and then we put it on an EP. And it's like, where's this been all my life?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff it's hit and miss.
Mm-hmm.
You get to talk. Some people don't like this platform because they think it's favoritism or that. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's a grind. It's a hustle.
Mm-hmm.
You got to stay on your digital footprint. Constantly promote on all the platforms. I'm always on Facebook because I clown a lot. But I'm also promoting our records. Larry is a stickler for it, and I just wait for him to put it up, and then I share, or I go live a lot in the studio, which a lot of people like. And it's not about showing the gear. It's just sometimes just talking about the process, and I don't mind sharing the process from the grassroots of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hit and miss.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But the best thing you can do is be consistent once you really start to get, some recognition. You got to be consistent. The days of putting out a record and going into hiding like Anita Baker or Sade for 5 years, that's not happening. You got to put out quality and be consistent with it.
You know, it's funny you would say that. I mean, I remember, of course, Strafe Set It Off. That was out a long time before that hit. And sometimes, too, I don't know if this ever happened to you, but it's happened to me. It's like this track comes out, and you say, it's all right. But then you hear it just right in the right place, the right sound
Yes.
system, the right mix. And it's like
Yep.
everybody got it, but you're the only one who said, I don't really get it. And then, boom, you go, okay, now I get it. Now I get it.
Well, yeah, and to your point, I've gotten that people have come up to me when I played at Zanzibar.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, Kev, that record was all right until I heard it here.
Okay.
And that hit on all your points, the environment, the sound system, sometimes when it's played, that's very imperative. I made a comment about having a 6-hour party with 6 DJs. You got to let DJ stretch. A lot of people want to say, oh, let them tell a story. Okay, I get that. That's so cliche-ish. But, where's the build? And then take them down and then build back up. You can call it a story, but build a pattern. And nowadays it's just so hard to do that with 6 DJs. So as soon as you get on, you got to show what you're made of because you're trying to, so there's no continuity, So again, back to your point, you might have heard, it's happened to me. I one time I heard a record at the Sound Factory, not Sound Factory Bar.
Okay.
And it was like, okay. But hearing it on that system with Vasquez, and that was his baby. I'm okay. I gotta run this around the track one more time. You know what I mean? And I can't remember the particular record, but it does happen. I mean, of course, what doesn't sound good at Zans?
Yeah.
But not every record is meant for a Zanzibar set. You know what I mean? So yeah, there are some records that listen. We put some records out as fillers. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Put it on the B side, or well, just as a filler, and then that one sells. You put 12 hours into 2 mixes of what you think is going to sell, and then you just throw something you had on your hard drive. You just clean it up. Don't even mix and master it, and then that's the one that sells out the door.
Yeah, so much for the secret formula, right?
Hey,
Yeah.
I mean, some people are just riding on name recognition. It's like they get hot off of one record, and everything just hits for a minute and it dissipates, but it's all cyclical. You know, it comes back around.
Right. Now, a lot of people don't know too. You're a record company executive at New Generation Records. Now, how did they get started? You know, what do you do there? And
Okay, well, so New Generation Records. New Generation Records was started by Mike LeBert, and his brother Larry LeBert came in and started handling the day to day. And once I started playing at Zans, I had already they were established in 1987. I was a sophomore in 86, 87, or 87, 88, whatever. So I had a few of their records. Once I graduated high school, I had matriculated down the road to Zanzibar. So Larry, you know, beating the pavement, he would bring, you know, promos up. And their distributor, that you know, they were distributed by Motive Records. I'm sure you remember them back in the day. So they had a precedent distribution deal. I was on the Motive Records mailing list. So I was getting all the New Generation records. I just didn't know them. And I would see them at different clubs I was playing at. We didn't know each other. You know, I would be playing in New York at Nell's, or one of the biggest parties I did at a young age was a club called The Building, and he was there, standing room only. I mean, I think I was 18 years old, about 2,400 people. It was phenomenal. And we met. He's like, man, you tore the building up. He gave me his record. And I'm like, wait, you guys are New Generation Records? And he's like, yeah, you know, you should come, you know, do some remixes for us. So I started remixing for them, you know, exclusively. I didn't have to chase work. You know, I only knew a handful of record executives. And thanks for calling me an executive. I'm just a partner running a label out of the house. But so I started doing remixes for them. Their distribution deal was up, so they were looking for a new deal. I, in the interim, doing their remixes, I started working on my own material, and I asked them, hey, when you get a deal, get me a deal, and you guys be my partner. I'll still mix for New Generation Records. Then I started COLA, which is K-O, Kevin O, and the L-A from LeBert. I didn't know how to abbreviate that, so we just took the L-A from LeBert. And so I did an EP. And the EP started it just blew up. And that was when I did, it's still a Jersey classic. I did Say You're Gonna Stay by Daryl DiBono.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people don't know I did. I did that record when I was 19 years old, and it still sells. It's been licensed all over the world. It's in 3 movies. I mean, we didn't even fathom any of that. And I'm 19.
Wow.
So to make it easier, we just said, you know what, Kev, just be a partner. So we don't have to worry about splitting COLA record money, royalties, and payments for remixes. Just be a partner. We put the whole thing under one umbrella, and we just started a couple other imprints, and we became we're still mainly New Generation Records, but because we have subsidiaries, we're considered a label group. And they bought me in. So I've been a partner since 1991.
Do you write too?
No, I hum with the best of them. Now, I will interject, you know, with different ways to sing something, but the people that write, man, they do some amazing stuff.
Right.
You know, like, you try to fit a whole, a stanza, and they can leave out 9 words, and it still makes sense. And it's not grammatically correct, but it sings right.
Gotcha.
I can't do like that.
Okay.
You know, and I tell people, I stay in my lane because there's no traffic.
Okay. All right. Now, okay, so here's, you know, we're getting down to the wire. So I got a few questions I just want to get your opinion on. You know,
Sure.
We're starting to see us getting some nominations and some recognition in the Grammys. You know, how do we win at the Grammys? How do we take this mainstream in terms of our music, our style of house music?
We have to put, I would basically say you got to put your money where your mouth is.
Got you.
You know, this may sound, you know, ridiculous, but, you know, you got to pay for the material. You got to really, you know, everybody wants a free copy. And I really don't know what you think. Like, I I still get material from artists and still buy it when it comes out,
Mm-hmm.
right? And everyone can't be on everyone's mailing list. But the thing is, the powers that be, this is a business. It's called music business, but the
Mm-hmm.
business comes first.
Mm-hmm.
Investment isn't there, they're not gonna put that into it. I.e., the stuff Terry Hunter's doing for these major artists is great.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason they're major because they have the finances behind them.
Got you.
You know what I mean? So you can't tell me that Cherie Hicks with some great music by Terry Hunter, I'll even throw myself in there,
Mm-hmm.
or with Louis, the Beloveds,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you can't tell me that that would not be Grammy worthy
Of
if
course
it's
it
not
is.
about the masses.
Of course
You
it
know what I
is.
mean? And
Mm-hmm.
and just an example, when we were younger, I met the way I got on Kiss FM, the program directors were coming to the clubs to see what we were playing. The
Mm-hmm.
clubs program the street. Now the
Mm-hmm.
street is programming the clubs, and it wasn't like that. You had to go
Mm-hmm.
to the club to hear certain records. You
Right.
couldn't hear it on the radio.
Right.
And I should say now the radio programs the club when the clubs used to program the radio, i.e.,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Fingers, Can You Feel It?
Mm-hmm.
There are no lyrics on that record. When was the last time you heard an instrumental played from the beginning to the end?
Right. Right.
I did a Kiss tape one time, and none of that. The only time I was live on Kiss were the live broadcast. Any other time, it was funny. The line would be around the corner. Sometimes I would go in Zan's in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I would go through the front.
Mm-hmm.
Lines around the corner. All the broad streets playing my music. Playing the radio. The guys who just playing, outside.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, "Hold on, I just heard your name on Kiss." I said,
Mm-hmm.
"Man, I did that on Wednesday."
Oh,
You know,
wow.
so, but my point is, so I did my show,
Mm-hmm.
FedExed it. J. Mixon Dixon was the overnight producer, one of the program directors.
Mm-hmm.
He calls me up. He's like, "I can't play this," and I'm like, "What?" He said, "Too much downtime, no vocals."
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't have track after track after track, but I had too many gaps. Whatever I was doing, I stopped. I went back to either where I used to have the equipment at my parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I was 19, I used to do them sometimes at Zan's in 88. We always had access.
Mm-hmm.
I literally stopped what I was doing, did that tape over, and drove it in before I missed my slot.
Mm.
But my point is, you know, you have to have that major backing or you have to invest in the product. But it starts with sales. The
Got
number
you.
is what brings it in,
See it. Okay. Mm-hmm.
you know.
Okay. Now, do you see any new trends in house music? Because you've been in the door and making it from the door. And how do we, assuming we're really serious about bringing younger people in, how do we expand our reach to that demographic?
Okay, so I think it starts with the dance floor.
Okay.
The community has to accept these younger guys. You know
Mm.
what I mean? I mean, everyone has their favorite. Everyone, you may want to go see DJ A, may want to go see DJ B, but we have to stop being exclusive, you know. Um, and it starts with the dance floor. You got so many people with their nose in the air, and I don't want to make it about me, but prime example, my first night playing at Zan's was not promoted. A lot of politics came into play, and just for the record, I didn't even solicit. I'm sorry. I did not solicit to get the job. I didn't even know the politics were going on behind the scene with changing the regime and all that. Right place, right time. And I had the chops to do it. But my point is, my first night, about 2:33 in the morning, and I played with it dark. I don't need pin spots on me. Just light up the records and the decks. I'm fine with that. And Zanzibar's booth was high. About 2:33 in the morning, people started screaming Tony's name.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't about, my mixes just being so sharp. I was playing the right records and they didn't know who it was. And then when people started getting around, they would stop dancing to back up so they could look up and see this little kid. You know what I mean? But that goes with take the blinders off, open your ears and just let the music play. And then the kids will gravitate, but it starts on the dance floor. Don't excommunicate someone because, he's not even older than the records he's playing. Well, I was playing Patty Austin when I was 16. You know what I mean? So that's a good thing.
Uh-huh.
So it starts with, I think it mainly starts with the acceptance, and then the guys that are established, like I've invited Tamir here when I met Just the DJ. Hey, here's my number. You need anything, if I can help you with anything. And and there's other guys, Pope's son, Jordan Pope.
Sure.
And these are the ones, who have a little boost. But there's other Amirs out there. There's other, Justins. And the thing is, they were calling me, my contemporaries now were calling me a kid when I was 19. So I'm 51 and you're still in the circle. So you're way older than me. So, it's time for it's time for the younger generation. Everything has to be reborn. So we have to do it before it's too late. You know what I mean? I don't want to be 75 talking, I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? So I think it starts with the acceptance of the community. And then once the promoters see that, they'll bring these guys in.
But let me ask a fair question. Can, let's say, the younger DJs bring in their group, and would we accept them as a group or just for the talent? In other words, we'll bring you in just a DJ, Amir, Jordan. There's a young guy out of Chicago. I can't remember his name right now. That's making it happen. Do we want them just for their talent, or do we want them to bring their friends in there? Or is that where we draw the line? Or we don't want to see grandma twerking or whatever. You follow what I'm trying to say? What's your take on that then?
Well, the music's going to draw the right person.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because, all right, so I played hip hop and can play it, but I play house music. My house head friends come. So music is going to delineate the type of people you get.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, but hey, listen, my mom and pops came to Zams. My mom, went on the road with me once. She didn't go in the club. She stayed at the hotel, enjoyed whatever. But they came in. They were in the booth for about 30 minutes. Too loud. They left. But I think the music will separate the house heads that want to come in and enjoy the music versus the guys that want to hug the wall. And that's not what I in my experience, that's not what the house music brings in. Or, I'm not a big dancer, but you have guys like me who vibe with the music. I mean, look, you're a DJ, you've played and you've seen a guy or a girl in the corner, may not dance a lick, but she's educated.
Right.
That person may be more invaluable than the person doing jumping jacks in front of the console, in front of the booth. Right. So I think the music will separate the ones who want to bring something to the table, or to the environment or the atmosphere versus just any old body there. I don't think we have to worry about that.
Okay. Okay. For the folks who are following things, any new trends that you see in this house music thing? Like, Dan, listen, this is what's coming, whether it's the sound, whether it's the flow, whether it's the style. And I only bring that up because I remember when Afro House started to come into the community. And there was some acceptance and there wasn't some acceptance by some people. But now, if you're playing, especially in the Jersey Festival, Afro House is a part of the flow. Do you see any new things coming or any styles or sound that are coming in terms of trends?
Trends. I will say the production for is getting a lot better for everything that's going on right now, which it's a trend that I'm not a huge fan of. The the stripping down and doing the remakes. And the reason I'm not saying I don't like them. Some of these guys are doing some great tracks and putting these old vocals on them. Got to go back in the studio. You know what I mean? There's a few guys out here, and I don't want to say their names in the field. They think I'm detracting from it, but there's some guys right now that have some great remakes out, and I wish I had the track without the vocal. I don't need to hear, Evelyn Champagne on 7 different renditions,
Mm-hmm.
or Michael Jackson on 15. Take those tracks and develop artists, and that's been our main focus. We have guy Gary Adams. We've got about 6 releases with him, all
Mm-hmm.
burners, original music. And if we do a remake, we'll perform it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying we haven't done any of those. We have, but it it, it it's a focus. We need to start to lean to the right and bring new artists in on those tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as far as trends, I'm hearing more musicianship.
Okay.
I'm hearing, I'll bring a guitar player in and a heartbeat. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, John Hickey, he played 4 instruments on these records. You
Mm.
know, so a lot of instrumentation is coming into play. Um, some of the guys that are sampling, they're doing some amazing work where you don't even realize it's a sample. Even the sounds that come with your DAW. Some of these
Mm-hmm.
guys are making these sounds. I mean, I got a couple guys. They can just pull 19 samples out of their DAW, and it sounds like a live drum set.
Mm.
So you are getting, if it's a trend or if it's just guys and girls paying more attention to detail and using the tools,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as far as the trends, the new sounds, I'm hearing more musicianship starting to stand out more,
Okay.
which is what I really love more than anything.
Okay. Um, how about the biggest thrill out of all the things? Let's see. DJ, record producer. Um, 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 let's see. Mixer, remixer. Um, record label executive. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Your list is endless. Anything
Well,
that gives you the
I
most.
can't afford because I can't afford to pay them to do individual things. So we gotta, we got the hat rack. You just put one on at a time, different one at a time. Um,
Yeah, anything that like, oh man, I just get
one
the
thing that
biggest joy.
okay, joy.
Yeah,
I
the
love
biggest joy.
I love sessions, man,
Mm,
with cool people because
mm-hmm,
I'm so loose in sessions.
mm-hmm.
Sometimes I think I might play too much. You
Okay.
know, I love the sessions because the people I'm working with.
Mm-hmm,
Um, Playing, I haven't done anything recently where I'm just on for 8 hours.
mm,
That's when I know I can stretch,
mm-hmm,
it's like that's one of the biggest, deals.
mm-hmm,
One of my biggest highlights ever. I've done New Year's Eve in different countries, things like that. But the
mm.
first time I played on Kiss FM,
Okay.
it was 1990 going into 91.
Mm-hmm,
Tony was supposed to play. He didn't come back from Japan. He was going to do New Year's, the 12 to 2, and
mm-hmm,
then I would play from 2 till we decided to close.
mm-hmm,
He didn't come back from Japan, and Jay Dixon said he was going to do it.
mm-hmm,
So obviously, because of the crowd we expected, myself, Bruce Jeffers, and my guy Leon Willis, they were like my road crew.
mm-hmm,
They would normally open or close, or if I wanted to take a break, or if I traveled, they would stay behind. Different things. So about 11:30, Jay Dixon walks into the booth. We had just put my flight cases underneath.
mm-hmm,
And I'm like, hey, bro, where are your records?
mm-hmm,
And he just looks up and says, nah, you got it.
mm.
So the dance floor had about 1,400 people on the
Wow.
dance floor.
Mm-hmm,
Downstairs was capacity, which was about 500 people. The
mm-hmm,
line was going into North Broad
mm.
or Newark,
Wow.
and you had about 800 cars outside of people who couldn't get in.
Mm.
So I'm playing for 1,400 on the dance floor and live on Kiss FM. The
Mm.
first time ever was a live show,
Wow.
and I had no butterflies. It just felt good. Like, okay, the masses are gonna hear what goes on inside, and that was just exhilarating. No other radio, and I've been on many stations, and it felt good getting that little W2 from Kiss FM, but
Mhm.
nothing like that, man. I'll never have that feeling again. 19
Mm.
years old playing at Zanzibar. I mean, you had grown men going into their basements, putting on red lights, pretending to be there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
Mhm.
that was one of the biggest moments of my life.
Mhm.
Going overseas and all that. That's cool. For some people, that's the benchmark. Um, but yeah, being home, being at that club, and knowing what that club meant and still does to people,
Mhm.
that one night, man, was one of the best nights of my life as a DJ.
Wow. You know, um, Let me just real quick. Reggie Brown, what's up? DJ Marcus Alonso, we got to talk. I just saw him Saturday night. It was good to see him. DJ Access, how are you, sir? Okay. Anyway,
Can I ask you a question?
go ahead.
Where do you get the energy to go out every weekend?
Well, all I could tell you is I'm driven. That's all I could tell you. Like what you do it day after day, day in, day out. And I'm driven. I mean, my ultimate goal is to take house music, our style of house music, to the public. What I mean is that I want to be riding my car, and 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, one of our tracks comes on. Not just
Yes.
2 o'clock in the morning when you're up because you had to be up or you're insomniac or something like that. So
Yeah.
I that's what I want to see, and that's what drives me. And I believe that we definitely have the ability to do it. Because, I mean, if you look at it, we do have a very large ecosystem. But once you said, too, it's very, very important, we got to get the business right. Now, I will tell you, too, I go to hear the DJs. I want to hear the usual suspects, meaning that, the headliners. But at the same time, I want to hear new people. And that's part of how I connect, Now, I will also tell you, my first love is DJing. I've been doing parties for many, many years before this whole concept of Soulful House Nation, even came about. And like you can mention different songs, like the songs in the art. Hey, I know that stuff because I play that stuff, and I still play. Matter of fact, when COVID came, I mean, I do mostly open set, but when COVID came, that really shut it down because I think I went from like 30, 40, 50 parties a year to like 2. I can remember maybe 3. I can remember 2, but I'm thinking there was another one in that I just can't remember. So it's a combination, really. What drives me, the energy comes from, is what I want to see done. I'm driven to do this. So that's would be my answer. And I'm coming to you live from the 8th floor, and I say get ready, get ready, get ready, and I joke, but I don't joke when I talk about the 8th floor. One day I'll tell you about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Rose, my sister's watching. How you doing, sis? Yeah. So that's to answer your question. Maybe that's the long way of answering it, but ultimately, I want to see our music played in real time, in the daytime. I believe if people hear it, they will like it. I also agree, and have said it in the past, that our producers are just as talented or more talented than the ones that go pop. Our artists are as talented or more talented than the ones that go pop. Our artists, I said that, DJs, artists, promoters, producers, I believe we just talent. We just, hey, again, like you said, we got to get the business right. We work on that.
And if I can add to that, I want people to understand. When I say support the party, I'm not looking at, and I'm just using it because he was in the chat room, an SMB party. People have to stop looking at it as SMB is getting every dime. These events are productions. The guys that like Tim Wise bringing out the sound system. These things are productions. Even if they get seed money from the county, it's still work. You say, and people count other people's money, and they should. I'm not $15, but what you have to understand, by you supporting that party, you're putting money behind the DJ, not necessarily in his pocket, or the artist that's performing, not necessarily the money in their pocket. When the powers that be see that you're willing to do that for this artist, then the majors start investing in them. But then when you have 800 people at a party and the bar makes $800, there's no money. And I'm not saying, drink yourself into cirrhosis, but you have to support each branch of what makes a good party. If they're
Right.
selling food, you have to, we can't always, like my boys like to say, barbecue,
Mm-hmm.
meaning eat and drink in the barbecue, drink and eat in the car before you go in.
Right.
That's football games because they're selling $25 hot dogs.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
we have to support the business aspect of it because again, the powers that be who sit on the money,
Mm-hmm.
why would they invest in said artist or DJ if you're not investing in them?
Mm-hmm. Right. Hey,
And that's what's paramount.
hey, just one other point along those lines. I mean, yeah, I mean sometimes promoters make big hits, but not all the time. I mean,
Of course.
listen. Okay, so first of all, most of the promoters are running these events from Hip National Bank. So in other words, let's say, because see, here's a lot of soft costs people don't see. All they see is they say, oh, there were a lot of people there. Well, that's great, and they charge X amount. But what they don't see is that okay, you put on an event, you got all, especially outdoors, all the permits that have to be in place. You may
Hmm.
have to contribute to the security. You also too got to pay the artist and or the DJs. You got to pay the sound people. Depending on your deal, you may have to participate in the cleanup. So, so,
Bro, that stage,
huh?
depending on, I'm
That's
sorry to cut you off.
yeah, the stage.
That
Okay.
stage, I own an AV company, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And the medium size stage, even I don't own that stage. That stage costs 3 grand.
Hey, hey,
And you
hey,
have to have insurance.
hey, yeah, hey.
You know,
So that. That's
and,
right.
and it's not just that $1 million of liability.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things that come into it, and I
Mm-hmm.
admire anybody. Some people do it for the wrong reason because they just want to stand on a stage.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to look at, and I'm sorry to take over, but you have to look
You're
at the
good.
peripherals that it takes
Mm-hmm.
to do an event.
Mm-hmm.
And not just count. Oh, they had 1,000 people and it was $20 to get in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can't look at it like, you
Look at the
know.
bottom line. Listen. Yeah.
Hey,
See, I agree. So again, and I know I've been behind the scenes on these situations. I have worked with Sultan and see and saw firsthand what it takes to put some of these things together. So again, so for the people who think they're making a killing, but wait a minute, that's not including the time, the energy, the back and forth to the place, the
the site
deposits,
surveys.
huh?
The site surveys
The sa-
because I own an AV company. I
okay.
have to go to these parks before we drop the stage just to see where we can put it. See, look, it can rain the day before.
Yeah.
How you put that stage in and it rains, it gets there's so
Oh
many
yeah.
things. The
Yeah.
footing of it.
Right.
There's a lot that goes into it, bro.
Yeah, yeah. So yes, I'm very clear, and like I say, you made a lot of good sense here. We got to get the business part of it. We get the business part of right. There's a tremendous ecosystem with people into house music. For the most part, they're not broke. They travel. Matter of fact, DJ Scoob just did a trip. See, he House Music Heals cruise. That's
Hmm.
a lot. So that shows that people have the money, but it also shows too he had a tremendous amount of money he had to come up with to be able to make that happen in terms of deposits, commitments he's got to make, and you're sweating bullets, hoping that the people jump on
To
it.
to
Meanwhile,
break even, you're
yeah,
sweating bullets to break even.
yeah, yeah. So again, like I say, those are some of the things that people don't see when they see these events. They just come, they say they have a good time, and hey, you can do a free event if you have sponsors, if you have the city behind it or the township behind it. Then it becomes easier, or you have
Mhm.
some special relationships you can call in favors. But I got to tell you, it's a big undertaking, and really, when you do something like that, it takes over your life too. When you're putting that together. Anyway, that's yeah. So listen, we're way past the wire, but that's okay because this was worth it. Um, so we're right down to the wire. Any final thoughts? Anything you would like to share?
Well, first of all, I like what you're doing, and thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Shout out to everyone that's checking in.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to say this: I'm accessible. If
Mm-hmm.
you got a track, if you have a question, I have my studio page, Studio Talk. on Facebook. If you have any questions about the studio,
Mm-hmm.
just inbox me. First and last name, Kevin Oliphant on Facebook. Um, and you know, I would just say keep pushing the music, but also support.
Mm-hmm.
Support everyone. If you don't know them but like their music, support it. Reach
Mm-hmm.
out to them, let them know you're pushing it or you're interested, because the digital footprint speaks volumes. Again,
Mm-hmm.
the big money won't support the little money unless invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My daughters want to start businesses. I'm like, well, show me what you've done. When it
Right.
was time to get a car,
Mm-hmm.
show me some money.
Yes.
I mean, we bought them, but I need to see where you were.
Mm-hmm.
And I've put this on Facebook all the time. The best investment you can ever make,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, stock market, but invest in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
invest in your brand. You
Yes.
know,
Mm-hmm.
so if you just gotta support. It's not a kumbaya moment, but you have to support. If you want that support, you have to put it out there.
Right. I heard this guy say the biggest and best investment that you can make. Um, I don't know. They have the stock thing or whatever, SMB or whatever, but whatever it is, some stock thing,
SP. Mm-hmm.
SMP, yeah, SMP.
Yep.
But he said no. Your best investment is SME. Anyway,
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So invest in me. Hey, listen. Just a couple shout outs here. Mitch McCrae, what's up?
What's up, Mitch?
Reggie Brown, what's up? All right. So listen, we're gonna, hey, we're gonna come in a soft landing here. So anyway, people want to follow. By the way, we have C Justice said he wants to connect with you. So C Justice, you guys got the info. So yeah, just people. One more time, if people want to contact you, support you, follow you, how do they do it? But spell your last name only because.
Yeah, hey, bro. Just a quick story. The reason I went Kevin O,
Mm-hmm.
because growing up, everyone kept their names, right? So I wanted to hear tonight's dance party is mixed by DJ Kevin Oliphant.
Uh-huh.
And Jay Dixon couldn't do it. I called the control room. I said, "Hey, bro, just drop everything else." And that's how it became Kevin O.
That's all right.
So, but I still like my full name on as much as I can get it on. But sometimes the market dictates that.
Okay.
But it's Kevin Oliphant, OLI, P as in Peter, HANT.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to email me, mr.firstlastname@gmail.com, and then I'll go into numbers and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My audiovisual company, I can't give you the website because my platform was just sold, and once we're done, I gotta have it moved and put back up. But my audiovisual company, and listen, we do shows for 50 people. I've done shows for 25,000 people. So we can accommodate anything from corporate to concerts. The Tech Squad Audiovisual, and that is 862-902-2762. And we're also, I'm sorry,
One more time.
Tech Squad Audiovisual,
Mm-hmm.
and the number is 862-902-2762. And we're also a rental house. So you can, if you have the know-how, you can rent all the gear from us. If you just need the labor, you can get that from us.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, fantastic. Hey, Kevin, thank you so much for taking time out with us. We've gone through a lot of things, and
we got fire coming too, bro. And
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just have to interject.
No, go ahead.
Rhythm Like Rain is definitely dope. Check it out.
Mm-hmm.
The Soulful charts. It's on all the platforms. I know everybody says that, but that one is on Track Source, Like Rain by Rob Rhythm on New Generation Records.
Mm-hmm.
Major piece. Been getting a lot of dope emails from some big time guys.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Well, hey, Kevin, thank you so much for taking time out. I know you got a lot going on.
Okay.
Hey,
Thanks for having me.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go to the Shazam Free Zone where we only play new music. We're gonna cut it short today only because this interview was very, very important, and we forget about all the timelines. We just had to do what we needed to do here. I'm gonna play all new stuff that you have probably never heard, and this is not where we play the quote-unquote hits, which obviously I know the hits, but this is to introduce new music. And there's a lot of new music coming out. You know, every week I try to play something that I think is good, but you make the decision. We play it and we say it. And you decide whether it's a smash or trash. But we'll let you make the decisions. So, Chuck, hey, Kevin, thank you so much for taking the time to do
Thanks,
this
man.
with us. Yeah. Chuck, yeah, once you
And I
get
got to add you to the mailing list. I got your email now. Make sure Larry adds you.
Great. Fantastic. All right, that was wonderful. Folks, like I say, we're going to the Shazam Free Zone. We're going to play nothing but brand new tracks. And hopefully you will like it. Like I say, we will play it and you can say it. We'll play it and say it, and you can decide whether it's a smash or trash. But I will tell you one thing, that sometimes you won't necessarily like something the first time you see it or hear it. I have proof of that. My wife wasn't feeling me at first. So, don't,
Oh, shit.
That's all right. But, but at least she found out. She got the education. So listen to the new tracks. You just never know what's going to be the next breakout hit. All right, ladies and gentlemen. DJ Dan Soulful House Nation coming to you live from the 8th floor. Get ready. Chuck. Okay.